Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile. This is the Harbinger League full of Oriath and we've made it to Act 10. So this is going to be a lore episode. We're going to have a chat with everybody in the docks here, which seems to be in the town of Act 10. So listen to some lore and in the next episode we're going to pick up with the gameplay. So let's chat.
Well, once more, you owe me for letting you sail around on me ship. But that's okay. I'm the kind of gal who can play the long game. Sometime in the future, I'll be in need of your services once more. You can pay me back then. All right, come on. You got a job to do. Lives to save, goals to kill. Better get to it.
Yes, ma'am.
That Bannon's a real siren if you ask me. Even after the beating he's taken. Bulging muscles, pretty yellow hair. I'd be willing to bet the barrel of his piece is longer than a ship's mast as well, if you be understanding me drift. It's a shame in all honesty that he's one of them foolish holy men. Though even that ain't so bad. Lily Roth loves herself a challenge. Not much I can say about that raving monster. While he still breathes, it fares ill for all of us. There ain't no amount of ocean we can put between us and him that Katava won't see as simply an extra jug of wine in his cup.
So she still offers the usual gems. Yeah. So let's see what Whalem has to say.
Welcome ye to Oriath. Smell that fresh landlubber air. Ain't nothing like the air in Theopolis, full of debauchery and pollution, hidden neath the garb of them holy templars. Seems the place has changed a fair bit since last I were here. A lot more blood and entrails than what I remember. Well, best Lily and I stay here, where it be safe. You journey on ahead, matey, and see what blimey buggers you get to kill next.
Blimey buggers.
Hey, you're not in the market for a new cutlass or anything, are ya? Recently unlocked the Black Crest's old armory. Found a whole shite-load of weaponry down there from another time. If you fancy it, be glad to show you my stock. See if there's anything in there you'd like to pick up.
He's gonna be the arms merchant.
Now, there's a woman who can hold her own. Oh, hey, look at her. A marvellous specimen of the female persuasion. Reminds me of Meredith, me long-lost sweetheart. Oh, would it be that I could have a woman like that at my side once more? Someone to stare out over the bow into the salt spray of the sea with. Someone to warm the cockles of me heart. And a few other things in my bed at night. Oh, yeah. Now that'd be the dream. Lousy, good-for-nothing blackguard. In all me years at sea, never have I ever serviced a filthy blackguard on my lovely ship. If the Brine King still drew breath, I tell you, having this Bannon aboard would be an affront to the Lord of Salt and Scale. Him and his kind have hung, drawn and courted too many of ours. I don't rightly trust him. Not at all.
Both of them have mentioned Bannon so far, yet I don't see him. I wonder if we're gonna encounter him in Act 10 somewhere.
Me thinks Lily is fixing to have her way with that damn blackguard. Well, I tell you, not if I have anything to say about it. Look at me. Never thought I'd see the day when old Whalem were to be the prudish grandfather. Yet here we are. Damn conscience will be the death of me.
Nothing in response. Nope. Okay, so Navali.
Welcome.
Nothing new, of course. Lani. No voice acting at all. The prodigal returns. Have you brought with you a weapon to free us? The ravenous one has grown more hungry since you left us, and I fear your efforts may be too late. Too late. or too little, too late. Kitava has all but destroyed us here, and our poor departed Utula's cultists have taken hold of the city. There's little ground left to tread that won't cause the grasping claws of Hinekora to reach out to wring our pretty little necks. Okay. I see your eyes, Exile. You wonder why I'm here instead of at the Overseer's Tower. I'll tell you the horrible truth. The tower has fallen to the infernal devices of Kitava. That witch Vilenta is to blame. She lowered a secret ladder and led Kitava's cultists right to our very beds. Bannon and I barely escaped with our lives. Together we cut through the hordes, but it was no use. They had us surrounded. Bannon created a distraction which allowed me to flee. When I last saw him, he was perched atop the rooftops, holding off our enemies. Though how long he will last, I cannot say. If you are going that way, perhaps you can find him and return him to me. I have grown fond of that Templar. The fire of Namau burns within his belly. Would not fare well for us in this war, if that fire were lost. Okay, so Vilenta was not as trustworthy as she might have appeared, or maybe just more of an opportunist in general. I believe Vilenta was not of sound mind. At night we often heard her cry out in her sleep, fearing unseen things. I wanted to toss her out on the streets, let the beasts of his fallen city tend to her madness. But Bannon refused to leave behind one of his own. But that he had listened to me. Vilenta thought that if she gave us up to Kitava, the Ravenous One would look kindly upon her. Well, look upon her he did. But what he saw and what she became is a thing of nightmares. Her nightmares, perhaps? Lily, in another life, perhaps Lily and I would have sailed the oceans together. I enjoy her presence and the conversations she brings. She has a call for adventure, coupled with a kind of optimism I rarely see. I hope that once all of this settles down, we might remain friends. Whalem. I don't quite enjoy Whalem as much as I do his granddaughter, but Lily favors him, and so I will too. Unless he does something truly horrid that forces me to revoke my opinion. Very formal language. Sin. A dark angel on your shoulder, perhaps? In another time, the presence of this god would trouble me, perhaps even frighten me. But in these days, I cannot afford the sensation of surprise. If he has helped you this far as you say, then one might expect he will help you all the way to the bitter end, and that is good enough for me. Kitava. Kitava's appetite has grown bigger than even his devotees had expected. His hunger moves faster now than his followers can keep up. I suppose the canals were the perfect answer to their problem, really. I converted them into one giant feeding trough to bring food to his mouth at a speedier rate. Kitava's cultists. Before the god rose from the depths, Utula and his cultists had direction. They wished to see Kitava free to stage this horrifying banquet. I was foolish enough to believe these theological mumblings as symbols for Karui freedom. Now that their prophecies have come to fruition, the cultists have lost their minds. It's hard enough to believe the end times of your chosen religion will ever happen, let alone last longer than the final pages of your holy book. Okay, so she is just going to be the vendor here. And finally, Sin.
It is good to see that you survived, my friend. But then, you have fared far worse. The froth of a violent ocean should be no problem for you. While we have been absent, Oriath has become a necropolis, a swarm of Kitava's wretched servants. The situation looks more dire than I had first anticipated. Before we make our move, we must know what we are dealing with. I send you, Exile, as a scout. As the only scout that would stand a chance moving through the shifting forms of this nightmare. You must discover where Kitava resides. Only then can we issue our final blow.
Dark Ember.
You needn't fret. The Dark Ember is still safely in my possession, and will remain so until our final confrontation with Kitava. That carnivorous blasphemy will fall like a log cut from the darkest of forests, and we shall watch him burn as Oriath and the rest of this world breathes a sigh of relief. Lily Roth is a noble... how do you say it? Scallywag? I have witnessed the rise and fall of many great men and women over the eons, and Lily is well on her way to being amongst the very best of them. I suspect one day her name shall be sung in salty taverns the world around. I must remember to keep on her good side, now that she can see me. The beautiful pirate princess hunting down the great god Sin would make for a fantastic tale, I'm sure. But one I would rather have remain in the pages of fiction.
We're now gonna climb to the rooftop to see what happens. This is where we last left Kitava, or where Kitava left us for dead. Depends a little bit on how you wanna see that. Okay. There's a Cathedral Apex here that's conveniently left open. Let's have a look.
You there! Exile! I am in need of your services once more. Help me!
Okay. There's a Plague Wing. It sounded like a unique. Talk to Bannon.
Phew. I would thank God for you, my friend, if that weren't too on the nose. I felt for sure that this time it was my turn to depart our world. Kitava's cultists surrounded Lani and I a while back. We split up and I led a distraction so she could make best her escape. Funny, I really should have considered my own plan for evasion once I'd allowed her hers. In any case, it is good to see you again, Exile. Let us talk more in a safer space. I shall meet you back at the docks.
Okay. So that's a very short trip. Where is Bannon? There's Bannon. And of course everybody has something to say about it.
Ah, good to see you made it back. You look at me with suspicious eyes. Yes, I know you have your apprehensions about me, and my new indwelling spirit. But if it helps a little, I feel innocence stirring inside me, awakening with an odd sense of gratitude towards you. It was, after all, your bite that returned him to humility, allowed the scales to drop from his eyes. If you are to go wandering the city in its current state, be careful where you step. Kitava's cultists are constantly on the prowl, actively seeking food for their god. What's worse, the passage to Kitava's feast is blocked off by two large black gates. We call them Kitava's horns, and they are utterly impenetrable to the motions of man. There is but one way in which we can reach Kitava and deprive him of his eternal meal. The staff of Avarius lies somewhere amongst the rubble of the Chamber of Innocence, still billowing with holy power. If you were to find it and return it to me, I believe the power in the staff will act as power enough to break through the horned gates.
Okay. Okay, and then we got a lot more lore. So, let's do this.
While they had me trapped, I heard those cultists' mad gibberings. Their words were akin to that of the Ray-classed cannibals. Nonsensical sentences, accompanied by the most unsettling of cackles. I fear that they have indulged too deeply into Kitava's famed habit, and caught the laughing plague that so often accompanies men and women who choose to engage in the consumption of human flesh. As I'm sure you've noticed, that damnable god Kitava no longer resides on the rooftops, as last you were here. No. The monster has acclimatized himself to Theopolis. He has set up quite the banqueting table for himself. It appears he believes he has a lot of consumption to catch up on. Best I can tell, his new residence lies through the ravaged Oriath Square and past the canals, now the feeding troughs. Heed my warning, friend. Tread lightly through that area, for those cultists are out and about once more, actively seeking food for Kitava to devour. I wouldn't blame you for being curious about the god now dwelling within me. In truth, I'm honored to have been chosen to be Innocence's vessel. You may hear this and think I sound like a pious Templar fool, but it is hard to remain an unbeliever when the gods walk around you, and indeed one sleeps inside you. No need to fear, however. Our poor purity god surely regrets the actions of his past. I can't see him, but I can feel his spirit, wounded and cowering somewhere inside me. At night, I hear him whimpering over his wounds. I must say, you hurt him good. But as much as I feel his pain, I also feel a budding newness in his heart. He is growing again, and relearning the compassion for humanity that he had long since lost.
Might be hope for Innocence after all.
The Chamber of Innocence is exactly where you left it, though cultists and vandals may have had their way with it since last you visited. Innocence himself no longer cares for the place. In fact, I feel a pained revulsion for it, hence why I cannot go myself. But I'm certain you are more than capable of forging a path through that broken temple once again. Back when the cultists took control of the city, the very ground itself shook, as if pained by some dark abomination. The gnarled horns of Kitava erupted from the earth like spiraling pillars of corruption, weaving together a barrier impeding travelers from moving through the city.
Then it is as I feared. Kitava's strength has grown insurmountable in our absence, and his horns now deny us entry to his feeding trough. Evidently, the hungry god has grown picky about what crumbs now travel towards his burgeoning throat. It is this strength that concerns me. I have spoken with our friend Bannon over there, a willful vessel of my misguided brother. I knew eventually we would need to enlist my brother's services, though I had hoped we need not do so this soon. Yet, it seems that we have no other choice. We must invoke my dormant brother, slumbering within Bannon's frame. Kitava's horns are a thing of great corruption, which only Innocence's purity can dispel. Before we proceed, I feel I must confide something in you. Bannon wishes me not to speak of it, as he is willing for the sacrifice. However, I feel you should know. Once we invoke Innocence, once we dredge him up from his cocoon inside the soul of Bannon, the man shall cease to be. Only the god shall remain. Do you understand what I say, Exile? If we take this path, Bannon will die. Excruciatingly so. Burnt with purity from the inside out. As I said, Bannon is willing to commit his life to this cause. But perhaps you should say your farewells before we move past the point of no return.
That's a bit of a rough deal for Bannon. Help save the world. By the way, you're gonna be a sacrifice. Bannon is alive and well, in no small way, thanks to you. I would be willing to guess. Without him being here, I would have lost my sanity and my life a long time ago. Take this gift as a token of both our appreciation. Flasks! Yay! Finally! The sulfur flask I've been yearning for. It is here. It's gonna be part of the build. Curse removal. That is reserved for my mana flask, but maybe we can rerun some burning removal on this. That's gonna be for a later time though. Nothing new to say. Lily and Whalem, you probably don't like that our dear Bannon is gonna be sacrificial fodder, so I guess you don't like it. you might be cautiously optimistic about it and then maybe turn into something regretful as you realize that Lily won't like it. Let's see how this plays out.
Now that the Brine King is nothing but crab meat, his sunken domain, the ancient city of Soartha, is ripe for the plundering. My granddaddy once dedicated a good portion of his sailing life trying to hunt down the location of that monolithic city. Then, while he were otherwise indisposed, yours truly tried to follow in his gnarled footsteps, track down the teardrop, a pearl as big as your head, carved with the clues to the city's subaquatic location. I was this close to completing my grandfather's legacy when those damn Templar privateers raided me ship and took off with the teardrop, threw it in their reliquary here in Theopolis. As it were, now's the perfect time to retrieve that dazzling pearl. Think you can nab it for me? I'll make it worth your while. Maybe tick it off the list of things you owe me.
Okay. Soartha.
Every cell-dwelling lad or lass knows of Soartha. They call it a city, but it was more of a slaughterhouse than anything else. Old Salty himself ruled over the place, treating its citizens as morsels from his own personal pantry. Those who weren't devoured outright were picked to try continue his family line. They became fishwives like that pretty young Nessa near ended up being. Well, the Brine King, as you know, was forced into a slumber neath the ocean, and the city was said to have joined him there as well. A few folk managed to flee from the collapsing coral shards, start new lives for themselves, but I'll be reckoning they left all their valuables behind.
And valuables are things we care about, of course.
Were a long time ago now, but them privateers took the teardrop, threw it in the reliquary, then took yours truly and threw me in those goddamn slave pens. Far as I can tell, they never did work out what the teardrop were for. Lucky me, I suppose. It was tough, but with the help of a few other undesirables, I managed to find me way out of them pens and into the reliquary. Made an attempt to burgle back what was burgled from me. Boy, did we sure underestimate the size of them guards the Templars had on the place. Only I managed to escape unscathed. Me accomplices weren't to be so lucky. They ended up in Ray-classed, much like yourself. Fact, I believe you may have crossed paths. Creighton? Elira? Oak?
Might have encountered them once or twice. Hate to say it, but they really didn't fight all that well.
Was a time when the ladies would be begging for a bit of old Whalem. But I ain't felt the warm caress of a woman in a long time, and it wounded me dreadful. During me time on the sea, I heard tale of Queen Exile and her penchant for using this land as a kind of vault for all her special shinies. One such shiny be her famed love potion, supposed to attract the drinker's ideal mate to their loins, even if that mate be far across the sea. Old Queen Exile kept the liquid in the skull of her favorite lover. Them damn Templars probably got their hands on it by now, and the potion's bizarre container has me thinking they probably went and tossed it into the ossuary along with the rest of the bones they got lying around. Exile, be ye the friend I believe you to be, then find a potion for me so that I can experience true love once more.
Sure. One love potion for the pirates. Some pearl from the reliquary. So we're gonna go to the square, and then we got the reliquary, then we got the ossuary. And that's gonna be it. Let's see. Anyone has anything more to say? No. Okay, so you know what? I'm just gonna edit this and attach it to the previous lore recording to just make one nice lore bit out of it instead of two separate episodes. So you should have actually seen a single episode of about 25 minutes rather than 10 of about 12 each. So gonna thank you very much for watching, and I hope that the next episode is actually gonna be one where we do some actual fighting, but that's gonna be next time. So bye bye.